Welcome to Flesh and Pod, a Flesh and Blood podcast, breaking down weekly news and notes from the tournament scene, community drama, game strategy, and more. And now, here are your hosts, Derek and Logan.
Hello, and welcome to episode 150 of Flesh and Pod. That's in a row, folks. That's 150 weeks, no misses, bringing you the most mediocre FaB content you can possibly imagine. However, with a twist this week, because joining me is the least mediocre member of the Flesh and Blood community, DM Armada himself. Steven, my friend, thank you so much for filling in for Charmer as he does a tour of Italian pastas and comes back probably at least 20 pounds heavier.
Yeah, tour of Italy. That is both what he's doing and also a dish at Olive Garden, which is probably not what he's enjoying, but hopefully not. Hopefully not. Yeah. No, you go to Italy and you show up to Olive Garden. You got
if he gets stuck at airport Olive Garden, holy shit, I will lose my fucking mind. If he ends up
terrible luck with airplanes.
So bad.
I didn't even go to Italy for those weeks. I just sat in the Olive Garden and
I took a tour of Italy, but it was at Olive Garden
openly over my pasta and my lasagna and my mediocre chicken parmesan. That's
the most mediocre chicken parmesan.
It's not great. I mean, it's not
so
terrible.
Bad.
It's a solid B. Well, it's a solid
C plus
tier chicken parm right there.
Oh, there's no fucking way that I'm calling that a B. You can't make me.
Now let's begin our tier list for today of chicken parmesans.
The chicken parms, the one I cook at home.
That's the right.
Yeah, how have you been?
I've been good. I've had a lot going on and a lot of good things going on, so it's been pretty solid. Good work.
And we take those.
Yeah, we take the wins when we can, right?
I
spent this weekend building a deck, and not the trading card type. The
like a deck of wood.
Like wooden deck with my friend who is a carpenter. So he had literally all the tools. We went to Lowe's. We stocked up on just every bit of material that we needed. He sketched it up in Google SketchUp, and I absolutely busted my body to put this together. I hurt in so many ways because I don't spend 8 hours lifting lumber and then, rearranging it and cutting it and all that sort of thing. So I am currently recovering, and I now have a deck to sit on, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Not gonna lie.
Watched some of the stream from today on that deck. Actually,
I saw you in the chat. It was wonderful, and we'll get to the stream here shortly. My week was very much so not a Flesh and Blood week either. Instead of going to ProQuest, my buddy was in town from Mexico, so I was out Friday night. I figured it'd be, the 20 people get together. We're all old, so we're not going to do anything. No, we went bar hopping because why wouldn't you in your mid 40s go bar hopping?
That's exactly what I would expect you to say you did.
Well, yes, that's completely in line. And then I got to watch my Iowa State Cyclones beat the ever-loving shit out of the West Virginia Mountaineers, but I had to do it on television. Originally, I was going to be there, but a friend from Mexico derailed those plans. However, the Sergeant Snipes, the person likes to shit talk in our Discord about how West Virginia was going to beat up on Iowa State. I still haven't seen a response from you. So if you could get on that, I would like to know your thoughts as
Someone check in on that person.
Yeah, that might actually need a wellness check.
Yeah,
that's very true. But what I did do is I did watch the 5th anniversary stream, because not only is this episode 150 of Flesh and Pod, Flesh and Blood also turned 5 over the course of the weekend. So
just like that,
kind of right on time, just like that.
They grow up so fast.
They really do. I kind of took a minute when I was thinking through it, and it struck me how the game Flesh and Blood simultaneously still feels like it's a new game and also feels like it's been around forever.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree.
But I know you kind of will feel this too, but it's been such a big part of my life for the last 3 years that it does feel like forever. Yeah. It feels like it's such a part of the fabric of what I do weekly at the very least, and a lot of times way more than weekly.
Yeah.
Right. That it's sort of woven itself into, I won't say a part of my identity, but part of what I enjoy in life. You know, like
Yeah.
it's definitely something that is brought me more joy than anything else. And yeah, that's I think that's what the stream reflected.
I agree with
Honestly, I
that.
think that's what they were going with.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think so. There's like this concept of like a third place, like a third space. Everybody has, like work, they have home, and then they need something else, right? Something else to connect you with other people. And for so many people, particularly in the trading card game community, that third space is like their LGS, or is something that they can connect with people in a communal way. Flesh and Blood is so amazing for providing not only a third space, but like maybe even like a fourth space or a fifth space, because you can go to your LGS and you can play Flesh and Blood, right? You can play with your friends, you can meet them weekly, but then you can hop on a plane and play in like a battle hardened and see several people that will always travel to these battle hardens, and then you can hop on a plane and travel to the world championship of the game or a national or pro tour event, and you see even more of these people that you've come to know and come to really connect with. And the fact that it's not just a game at the local level, but it kind of scales up, means that it's created so many more spaces for people to just connect. And I think that's the beauty of the game. I've thought about this all year because I've been in the game for all 5 years, and what it's meant to me is, it's kind of unfathomable how to really describe what I've gotten to experience and the people that I've gotten to meet and the places that I've gotten to go, and just the entire thing is sort of overwhelming to talk about. And I guess that's why it's beautiful, because you can just sit here and wax poetic on all the experiences that you've had, and that's kind of what the stream was in a way, in a lot of times, which is great.
Yeah, it's really interesting because one, I mean, we've marveled outwardly about the accessibility of Flesh and Blood at every level, right? And sometimes, we talk about other pieces that don't feel as accessible. I know a lot of people don't really love, the secondary market, or they think that there's price gates and whatever. Of course there are. It's a game. It's a trading card game. There are always price gates. Like, that's just the nature of things. But as far as accessibility to the people within Flesh and Blood, that's always been the part that has been so interesting to me, because coming from Magic, you didn't get to just walk up and talk to the people or interact with the people that made the game.
Yeah,
You need to watch streams of them like literally chilling on couches and just having a blast talking about the thing that they do for a job. But the joy that you saw with Cash and Kieran and Jason and Brian talking about what they do was contagious.
Yeah.
It was, now you understand, watching that stream, it was easy to understand how, it was how this game is built to be about the players, because it's being made by people that are putting their own experience forward and saying, what would I have as a player want?
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
I think the crazy part too is like, there's been a lot of like people coming and going in that studio. There's been a lot of people. They've added a lot of people. There's a lot of growth. But the cool thing is, it's always sort of been like that with LSS, at least from what I've experienced. I can't speak to everything. I don't have all the information, but everything that I've experienced is, there's just extremely passionate people that will talk your ear off about the game, and that absolutely love the game, and just like weaving in their own interests and their own things within it. And you can see that that's what's driving them to create these experiences for others, because they recognize, one, that they're doing something beautifully creative, but two, that it's opening all of these doors and these avenues for people like us to connect with each other and with others in the wider space, in the trading card game space. And I don't want to say it's fully unique, because obviously there are communities in a variety of games that, you know, come together and cross boundaries and, you know, bridge gaps and divides that would be difficult to bridge otherwise. But it just feels so much closer in this game than anything I've experienced. So it's pretty awesome to watch the ride.
Yeah, you just basically described Josh Scott. But literally, I actually described Josh Scott. That's why he shows up on our show and talks for 3 hours about rules and is the happiest person ever doing it.
Yep.
And plus, you know, you're on the chocolate list.
Yeah. If I ask him, he'll send some, because he's pretty awesome.
Being on the chocolate list is broken. Honestly, it's just, what a privilege to be on Josh Scott's chocolate list.
Here's the thing too. I gotta find him. I need to find something I can send him, but I can't send him chocolate, because this doesn't measure.
It's worse
up.
Here.
No, it doesn't measure up at all. And I can't send him brisket, which is superior. It's not going to make it.
Right, no, I agree.
I mean, come on now. But like, I got to find something.
But the next time he comes to the States, we can get him some brisket.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. That's a foregone conclusion. But really, it's like, we need to be able to send care packages back. I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone leave
There's
a comment
gotta be something
down below,
better here.
Something good about. See, the problem is, like, food in America doesn't really hold up in a lot of instances. But
no.
I don't know.
Especially like the treat type stuff, like your snack type stuff is so much better everywhere else.
Yeah.
It's wildly unfortunate.
It is.
And
we got to figure out something to send Josh Scott.
Yeah, we do. We'll figure it out. There's got to be something.
Takis. We can't even claim that, man. We can't even claim that.
No.
Takis made in South America, right? They're made in
Mexico? They're right. They took at some point in time, somebody figured out that there was something just much better than flaming hot Cheetos made in a different country.
Yeah.
And they just imported them.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, we can just do this. Yeah, well, yeah, you can.
Dang it, we need something.
There's got, okay, somebody do comment. We need to send something to Joshua Scott that he would not be able to get in New Zealand that is a delight, an absolute delight of America.
Here's the thing. Why don't we just ask Josh Scott?
Well, he listens to this, so he will just comment.
Yeah, Josh, just tell us what you want.
Just tell us what you want, buddy.
It's like at Christmas time when you're just sick and tired of looking and shopping. Just be like, all right, fine. Just tell me. Is it gift cards? All right, it's gift cards. We're getting you gift cards. Well, so
sounds great.
Let us know, Josh Scott.
Yeah, that would be very helpful, actually, for this entire project, if you would just let us know.
There it is.
But so like the stream started with an intro video. The three floating kids. I know they had talked about this project. I believe this is when they filmed in LA before Pro Tour LA.
Mm-hmm.
And because I just looked at the people in the video and kind of put two and two together of when would they have all been around? Right then. Okay, that makes sense. But as per usual, it's fantastic.
So I actually missed it. I didn't get to watch it because I didn't tune in. I was literally drilling boards into screwing boards into a deck. So I missed that. I got to go back and watch it. They didn't upload it at least right away. They uploaded the Armory deck video.
Yes,
fire.
Yes, that trailer, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But that blew me away. But the three floating video at the beginning was Night at the Armory. Mm-hmm. It was actually just the experience that a lot of us have had of walking into an armory, and then your first round opponent is Brody Spurlock, mm-hmm. and your second round opponent is Yuki Lee Bender, and your third round opponent is Pablo Pintor, and you're just like, yeah, okay. It's rough.
Sam told me about that a couple weekends ago, like the sort of the pitch for it and how excited he was to like finally have it revealed, because they put a lot of work, time, and effort into it. So I'm excited to go back and watch it. So I hope they upload that like separately on the channel, but it looks like it's not there yet. So I guess I'll have to scroll through the stream like I tried to do.
It's at the very beginning. It's the first thing on the stream, so you should be able to get to it pretty easily.
Cool.
They also did a couple of playthroughs with so Adult Ira into Aurora. That was instructional. It'd be the word I would use.
How so?
As because I think a lot of people were concerned that Adult Ira into like some of the more aggressive fields and things like that occur in Flesh and Blood and Classic Constructed, it wouldn't hold up, right? Health pools are taller. Maybe she runs out of gas a little bit quicker. A lot of that, and no, the Ira deck performed magnificently well. It was a very close game. They did end up losing.
But, spoiler alert, man.
Well, whatever. People will watch it. But you should just go back and watch the game because the play lines that Jason and Carol took were very interesting. And they had cribbed I believe it was Bartosz's Aurora deck.
Okay.
And then I don't remember what they pulled for the Ira deck, but I thought that it was really well done. And you could tell that both players really wanted to win, and mainly because Jason
do. They do. They don't like try to set it up or anything.
No, they are hyper competitive and they just want to win. And that actually bled through to the dumpster dive match, which was Cashin on Arachne and wanting to just look at cards.
Yep.
Just keep looking.
Yep.
And Kieran was playing Kasai.
Mm-hmm.
And so dumpster dive is commoner. Pummel Kasai. Sunkiss Moonwish Pummel Kasai.
There it is.
Yeah. That's a deck, I guess.
It was.
And
it was a deck.
It was a deck. And it was, again, a very interesting matchup. At the end, I believe it came down to maybe the not the best decision ever by Kieran, but it was fascinating nonetheless to watch. Even commoner games. That's what's so great about Flesh and Blood sometimes is a no stakes commoner game with pseudo meme decks.
Mm-hmm.
Was a blast to watch.
Went to the fatigue state, and both players were like looking through graveyards going, okay, is this the final card? Do I play around it? And it's like, bro, you're playing like Pummel Kasai with Moonwish, and you're flipping through the graveyard of an Arachne that just wants to like opt everything they could. And this is beautiful.
Yep. When you're seeing Arachne playing blue Whispers of the Oracle, you're in for it. This is a great deck. All of a sudden, we're here for this. And the memes were a blast. The memes were insane. Quite honestly, I laughed out loud several times because they did a little between the first segment and the second segment. They did a bunch of failed marketing ideas, and I don't see how any of these failed. These all seem like winners to me.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Slapped. They really did. They should just run those out on Twitter like every so often. Just drop them on there. Drop them one at a time. Yeah. I mean, people would love that.
There were a couple out there for the Gen Xers and elder millennials. You had a Buggles reference, if you know who the Buggles are. You had a Death Becomes Her reference, if you're familiar with that film. You had just some... you had a Love Island montage a collage that was making people in the chat clamor for that to just be a produced show on
yes, I mean it was pretty hilarious. I did very much enjoy the Arachne one. I thought that one was fun. Just referencing, did you know that in the music video for Video Killed the Radio Star, the piano, the keyboard is being played by Hans Zimmer?
Really?
Correct.
So, because that was the first video ever played on MTV.
Yes, it was.
Buggles' Video Killed the Radio Star in 1981 or whatever.
And Hans Zimmer is on keys.
Really?
Yes, he is. You got to go watch it back. He's on keys. He quit.
S-tier composer.
Yes.
Hans, movie score composer Hans Zimmer. Like the S-tier for movie composers is John L. Williams.
Yep.
Danny Elfman. Hans Zimmer. I mean, come on. The theme to Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
The theme to Tales from the Crypt.
I think you're overselling him a little bit.
I love Elfman.
I think he's very solid. I would put him in A tier. Maybe.
So we're gonna go tier maker this now too.
Yeah. No, you're 100% correct. Those are really the top two. I think you literally listed the top two. It's John Williams and it's Hans Zimmer. Those are the top two.
Right.
And honestly, it's actually the top two by accolades as well. Based
Correct.
on awards as well. So, and I know this because I have my students do, when I'm not teaching, I have my students go through a PowerPoint that I created for both of them and go through Google Forms quizzes for both of them because they are both the, single greatest living composers of their time right now.
Yeah, I don't think that you'd get a whole lot of disagreement on that, to be fair. What other composers, have entire nights dedicated to their work and only their work that are living?
Yep.
That travel. That list is about 2.
Well, it certainly is for mainstream composers. I mean, you have that in art music. You have that fairly regularly, but it's not nearly to the same notoriety as those two.
No.
Howard Shore is really good. I really like Howard Shore. I think Howard Shore is A tier. I could go for more, but
I mean, sure, that's kind of your actual pocket is composers and music
to some degree.
Well, I mean, I don't know how many people know that about you though. Like, I would assume most. Yeah, because I think that the Venn diagram of Fappers and Armada fans is pretty close to a circle for our set. So, there were a lot of. When I said in our Discord that you were going to be on the show, hosting with me since Charmer had abandoned me. How dare they were motherfucker, but they were
gardens everywhere. Celebrate.
You know what? I think that he is probably the reason that for whatever ungodly thing they offer Italian wedding soup to people. Like, who takes that?
I don't even know what that is.
It's a bunch of stuff dumped in a bowl
of
broth. It. I mean, it can't be good.
Italian wedding soup.
Would you rather have the salad with the good dressing? Or would you rather have this monstrosity? No, it doesn't.
Don't Google this, everyone. Or do. Yeah. Just help yourself.
Yeah. It's that's on you if you do, though. You've been warned. Let's put it that way.
That is true.
But so yeah, it was really a fun celebration, but the meat of it all came when the Q&A with James started. As
I'm just gonna start by saying no mention of pirates.
Not a single one.
I heard that silence was deafening, and honestly, it's quite absurd. At this point, the amount of people that want pirates in Flesh and Blood is at least 2, maybe even 3. And the fact that we have not been satiated or at least responded to is a travesty. Quite honest.
Considering how vocal that minority is, I am also shocked that it has not been done yet, because y'all scream from the rooftops
every chance we get.
And a lot of it was just talking. A lot of the questions were sort of centered around the experience creating the game, which was very cool. You should go back and watch those pieces, because say what you will about anything really, but the amount of care that James White has for the community and the game and his prior communities and providing the spaces for people to get together is heartwarming.
Yep.
To say the least. He's passionate. He cares deeply, and he's ultra genuine.
Mm-hmm. It works to the bone too.
Oh yeah. That man is, I don't know how he does what he does. And, thinking about the fact that he manages to be the figurehead of this incredible company making this game that we love, at the same time traveling to these events whenever they occur on the larger stages, doing all these meet and greets with fans, and then also having a family that he's obviously deeply entwined with, and is as a father and a husband. It's mind-blowing that he somehow does all this and sleeps allegedly. I guess I don't know for sure that he does that.
Yeah, I mean, I know on some level, and we can both speak to this. We know on some level what that looks like with all of the hats that you have to wear, but then it just amps to like 11 when you compare it to what's actually going on. It's crazy.
Yeah, and because like I had talked with Joe Sapp in Tampa and discussing, his role. If you don't know Joe, one, you should. S tier human being, love the guy to death. And if you ever have seen James at events, he's the giant guy that is with James to make sure that nobody is effectively doing anything harmful to James in a lot of ways. But when I was talking to Joe about it, a lot of it is he, kind of protect James from himself, because if you let him, that line is 1,000 people long. He wants all 1,000. And to get through that line, and he wants a full conversation with every single one. He wants them to be heard. And I don't know if you know, but 10 hours is only 600 minutes. And so if you gave everybody 10 minutes, you're there all night.
Yeah. No, I mean,
with no breaks.
So if you saw what he was doing at the very first Worlds, that was the very first like lineup that he did. It was literally the entire day. And I saw him after, and he looked like he was going to pass out. It was crazy. But he committed to it, to going as long as he possibly could. It was ridiculously, like, it was a grind. And I was worried for him.
Yeah. And New Jersey, it eventually got to that point, because that was the first time that I think that he was over for an event, right? Was Pro Tour 1. And when I walked in on day one of Pro Tour 1, he was just there at a table with no line or anybody else. And so I just went and talked to him.
Yeah.
But as the time wore on with the event, that line just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And every time I've seen him at events since, it's always just a stacked line from stem to stern.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. But he does it, and he wants to do it.
Yep.
It's not a chore to him. But he will try to get to every single person so they can say, have the entire conversation. But it takes somebody to say, okay, well, we need to get the line moving. We got a lot of people to talk to, because James isn't going to do that.
I appreciate it for him for it. I mean, it's a very unique thing. We talked about it earlier in the show. It's a very unique thing for creators of the game to be that accessible. And he chooses to be that, which is
phenomenal.
Yeah.
So a couple of tidbits that were just kind of actual news as far as this goes, were basically a couple of things that I thought were very interesting. So he did say that the next part of the Monarch story, as far as sets go, isn't until 2026. Which
we all thought, mind-blowing, man.
Yeah. We all thought it was coming like soon. Yeah. Some people thought it was the next set.
I thought it was the next set. I think most people thought it was the next set, because in an interview he said it was early 2025, and there's only one window for a set in early 2025, and it's the first set out the gate. So I think we were all like, oh, okay, well, that's the Monarch 3 set, Monarch 3, the threepening. The
threepening?
Monarch 3, the
trepanning?
No, you need something.
No, that can't do
Monarch
that.
Monarch 3, Electric 3. No, that doesn't work either.
No. The Dread Triptych.
Yeah, I like that. We'll go with that one.
We can go with that one? Okay.
So everyone thought that was the case. And, honestly, up until the moment he literally said that, I thought it was going to be it. I mean, they gave us an Iris, like a storyline with very clear necromancer vibes to the main villain. I mean, the adversary, I guess, if you want to call it that. It was just like, this is a slam dunk. What a rug pull, man. Where the heck are we going now? Are we going back to Volcor so we can get Dromai and have 3 illusionists in the meta? I don't know.
Please, no.
Yeah, Dromai, let's go. I want my dragons back.
Well, let's get the pirates. Let's get the coast going.
They're never going to do it. They're never going to do it. And I'm depressed. I'm in a state. I'm playing the Charmer today, so I'm in a state.
Well, you're doing a great job.
I'm in a state of depression for my lack of pirate confirmation, so.
I still think that there are a lot of directions, because we have an incomplete story of metrics.
Yeah.
We have an incomplete. I mean, we still have a Savage Land set that we need. We've never gotten one.
Yeah. Maybe we get that first. Maybe that's where they're going, just trying to round out the sets,
Well, that would, I think that design wise, one of the things that they've done recently that I'm really in love with is having that one set per year that is a good on ramp. So heavy hitters was a really good on ramp because it's attacking and blocking.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It is the fundamentals of the game. And so I think that like a Savage Land set would kind of fill that role, right?
Sure.
Like attacking and blocking and be a good on ramp, but also give enough nostalgia for the enfranchised players. And so that might be the early set.
Maybe they'll give us Rhinar again.
Just actual Rhinar.
No, we'll just need a third Rhinar.
Just Rhinar Reckless Rampage.
This time it'll be better. This is the moment.
No.
Third Rhinar. You don't think so?
No. This is probably where they just give. This is probably where they just do Earth Brute to piss me off.
Let's go.
And please, no, never. A shaman would be sick.
Earth Brute is the shaman. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, kind of, yeah.
I think we need an ice
thrall.
Brute.
Ice Brute.
Yeah, that's what we need. We can call him Jarl.
We have that already.
Jarl the Ice Brute.
That's definitely Ice Brute at home, but better. And so I am curious. So like Savage Lands makes sense to me. Volcor makes sense to me.
Why? Why does Volcor make sense to you?
I think, they've been aggressively printing Dromai Dusts, and that kind of points that direction. They do need to get FaB, and they probably knew that they were going to have to do some work to get FaB back to relevance after Zen and things like that. Because even they knew that Zen was good when they were designing.
Yeah.
And so that would have chased.
Well, he was last on the chopping block, right? He was like the last hero they put together. Yeah.
Yeah. But they also knew that there were busted things with this hero that they've said, yes, we knew that this coming was going to be very strong. We maybe overshot by a bit, which, yes. And they reacted, appropriately in my mind. But I think that they need to go back to FaB and get FaB some support too. Okay. And it can't occur. I don't think I think FaB needs more than the expansion slot. Dromai needs a new hero.
Yeah, he does, of course. I mean, that's clear.
And you can, if you wanted to, you could keep Icelander going, but I think that this would be a good time to try putting adult Shiana, if you could. Coming back into Volcor. I don't either, but
so last we saw her, she had returned from Volcor to Solana, and then she basically got wiped.
Right.
So I don't know.
So her last memory might still be the Emperor being dead, and so she's wandering back to investigate. Who knows? But that told me enough about Solana to not trust Solana at all. And lore-wise,
so here's
very, very unique.
Here's my thought. If we go to Volcor, they give us a new Dromai. They give us more ninja cards for FaB. And then they give us more wizard cards, because wizard still is one of the least populous card pools.
Yeah.
And it allows you to pad out the wizard class connection from the previous set to this set. So players are already playing wizard in this, Rosetta meta, if you will. And if they were playing the previous one, they were already playing illusionist and ninja as well. So you can maybe tie that over. But the question becomes, is that too much of a crossover? You know what I mean? Is that have we seen those classes too much already? And I don't know, because last year they did Outsiders, and then they did Dynasty, which was an expansion slot. Technically they did Dynasty
first, then Outsiders. Yeah.
So they did Outsiders, then they did Dusk Till Dawn, which was a strange set because it was basically just talented. So it didn't really need anybody except the talented heroes.
Bright Lights.
And then Bright Lights, which was all just Mechanologist. So it's like, what class hasn't been touched or would need more? I could see it being the same three, like illusionist, but going to draconic, the draconic talent, essentially ninja, draconic talent, and then What if you, instead of it being Icelander again, what if you did a Draconic Wizard? You know what I mean?
I would say your options are Draconic Wizard, Draconic Warrior.
Yeah. The Warrior thing I think is smart. There's a ton of freaking cards in the Warrior pool. There's like 270 cards in the Warrior
But
pool.
Warrior isn't relevant right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But they don't, I don't know if I don't know if the meta is as cut and dry in the testing room as it is out here. Well, I can't even say it's cut and dry out here. So
It's not.
Yeah, so I don't know if they have that much foresight into going, okay, well, when we hit this moment, you know, in a 2.5 years, Warrior's going to be bad, and so we'll need to put the next set to be a Warrior. I'm not sure they have that flexibility. It'd be amazing if they did, but I don't know.
They could print the Draconic Warrior as the general that Kasai is looking to murk and start tying that storyline back in.
That would be cool. Honestly, it could just be a storyline about Dromai usurping the throne and sort of becoming the next empress, and a more personal story of Kasai on her journey to finally enact revenge and save her father. But at the same time, like, I feel like those two storylines are so different in scope that it doesn't make sense to do this in the same set. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the story you tell in the set is Dromai's.
Sure.
I think the story you tell, and we'll get to this, outside of the set is Kasai, is General and Kasai, but you have General finally being a hero. I forget the guy's name, but I can easily look this up right now.
Well, they didn't give him a name until they released her
latest lore,
her most recent story.
And, you know, give him a hero card in the set. And that becomes the story that's not told in the card pool necessarily, but it's told through other means. Because they do, I mean, and we may as well tear this band off too. They have hired a full-time narrative team.
Yep.
James talked about this, that are working on Lore Book 2.
Yeah.
Which is, okay, we've been begging.
Yes. Literally everyone has been asking for that. Since when? Like year 2 of the game.
Right.
Since the
ever since the lore books became scarce, in reality.
Well, they were always scarce. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think everybody's been, I guess it was even like pre-Monarch. It's like Crew. People are like, okay, more lore. And leading into Monarch, I think it really especially hit.
It ramped up.
They really showed the main storyline of the game thus far between the battle between Light and Shadow. And so everyone's like, great, this is awesome. Tell me more. And then it just kind of radio silenced as far as a expansive lore book. Because I think everyone wants that as the de facto storytelling device. And I think it'd be really cool if they took and they just did a really nice finish of all of the stories in a one compendium. Be pretty cool. So
illustrated, make it look nice. And I mean, obviously it's because you have a lore book, right?
I do. Yeah,
and they are handling them, they are well made.
Yeah, they are.
Like, they are nice as hell. And I don't know that they would be able to do that in a mass production scale.
No.
But they would probably still do something like that as a collector scale, then a different version is my guess that is more widely dispersed and widely produced.
Yeah.
Because I would want matching lore books. Just speaking for myself.
I can understand that. Yeah. Having like a little volume, like encyclopedias on the shelf. Yep.
But the fact that they have got a new narrative team, they have it working full time, they're committed to fleshing out the lore. That's super exciting to me, because this is the one part of being a Flesh and Blood fan that has felt the most lacking.
Is lore?
Is being able to just be a fan, to do, because you can be a fan of the card game. You can be a fan of the characters in the card game. You can be a fan of all these things, but it's hard to pick up other connecting pieces to create a larger sort of fandom for yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that
it doesn't exist, right?
Right. Yeah. That's the problem. If it did exist, I think that the bond between the fans of Flesh and Blood and how they perceive and ingest the game only strengthens and becomes more unbreakable, really.
Sure.
Because you have people that will, I really don't, care for this here. I'm going to skip some sets, or I'm going to, and they become potentially a little divorced from the game. Most of the time, like all TCGs, they end up coming back at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could just also say, obviously, this isn't for me, blah, 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 but my favorite character is in a comic book right now that is being, produced monthly with, they're going to continue on this path and they're going to stay invested.
Sure.
And
that'd
I think that has,
if they could pull that off, right?
Right. And, their art, the art bench is deep enough. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, it's just enough people to just constantly produce that. That's the thing, and
Right.
the money that you would have to put into something like that. But I mean, even just, I think it's really interesting to look at the way that they've rolled out merch and shirts and things like that. So at Tampa, we saw shirts for all the heroes that were new. And this is an opportunity for, like if you were a really big Verdance fan, you could buy a shirt. And you look at that and you go, okay, why are you a Verdance fan? Because she's got beautiful art. Or because you read the lore stories behind her and you watched her wrestle with the idea that not all things will last and sometimes you'll have to let things go. And she made a tough choice to stop holding on to the past and realize that in order to move forward, you have to say goodbye to some things. That could be the reason that you like the character, or it could be feet. I don't know.
I'm saying, or you're into feet. That was my suggestion, or you're just into feet.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine. But the fact that there's multiple layers that you can choose from is, to me, the point. It's not just that, hey, this is a really cool looking goth emo guy named Florian, and so I want a shirt because it makes me look like I'm from the early 2000s.
Roughly.
So that's what I want. Or it could be, yes, this is someone who's been, felt alienated because of the role that he plays in society, but he's finally being welcomed back when people realize that he's integral to the continuation of their cycles. I think that's really cool. And so players can latch onto that. The question becomes, how do they do that in more than just the lore way? Or how do they expand upon that? And I think, like you mentioned, a comic book, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be a lot of work, but that'd be really awesome, right? Maybe a lore book like they're doing is a step in the right direction.
Yeah. And I mean, a comic book is the first thing that comes to mind because surrounding me on the walls of my office are comic books. As a giant comic book nerd, it's one of my favorite ways to ingest a serialized story, right? Because it's bite-sized, so perfect for people without a lot of time, perfect for people who have a visual, like love a specific visual aesthetic. Mm-hmm. And it's easy. It's just digestible. You can grab it off a shelf for $4 or $5 and you're on your way. It's quick. It's easy. It's the price of a pack. And I think a lot of people would lean into that. And then that becomes, instead of having the first appearance of Mr. Sinister on my wall, I have the first appearance of
some Earth Guardian.
Sure. Jarl. Yeah. On my wall, and it's that type of thing though. Mr. Sinister being my favorite X-Men villain. And then the first appearance of Gambit is right there, which is my favorite X-Men hero, but
solid choice.
Yeah. And then the first appearance of Rogue is right there too. So kind of made sure I got the whole set going.
The first trading card game I fell in love with was Marvel Dice Masters. It was all Marvel.
Really?
Yeah, Dice Masters. They did tons of IPs, but Marvel Marvel were the slam dunk ones. And they put in one of the more recent sets before the game kind of folded and stopped being produced, they put Mr. Sinister. I had a chance to spoil a Mr. Sinister card.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
And
cool.
I was hoping you were going to say Marvel Overpower because I would just roast the shit out of you if you said Marvel Overpower. That game was trash.
Yeah, no, I know nothing about what you speak.
That's probably better for you at the very least.
Cool.
Because it's real bad.
Okay, I'm glad I missed it.
That's how I know that you're significantly younger than I am. But because you're also much like Charmer, much like myself. If nobody knew this about you, I don't know how they didn't. But you're also a card game junkie. And
I would say so. I think that there's a lot of people that have played far more card games than I have, but I really enjoy picking up something new and trying it out. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's usually how you end up, because I'm not going to pick up every card game. That's
Sure.
ludicrous. But if something looks interesting, it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I'll give it a shot. That's why I have Lorcana cards. That's why I have Alpha Clash cards. That's why I have Star Wars Unlimited cards. That's why I have Digimon cards, of all things.
It's a popular game for a while.
Yeah, and it was interesting at the very least. That's why I have altered cards.
Yeah.
You know,
I do. I have a box sitting right next to my feet here.
I have an unopened box of Kickstarter, and I just don't know what to do with it.
I'm
Not a ton of people around here play. Well, I mean, opening it is probably the right thing to do, but I don't know. It's just like I said, there's not a lot of people around here that play.
We're
so
junkies, man. We gotta get that next one. We gotta get the next trading card. Just try it out. You know,
the dopamine hit of opening something sweet is unmatched. I've done more drugs than I want to discuss, and I would rather open a cold foil tunic. You know,
yeah, I think so as well. I would agree with that.
I would get a bigger boost from that. Just full stop.
I'll tell you what, though, it begs the question, because this is what I want to make a video about. What's the point of it all? Is that the point for TCGs? What's the point?
It's a good question, because I always talk about the three pillars of TCGs, which is the player, the competitive player, the casual player, and the collector. It's the three C's. You have to have all three, or your game doesn't last. And usually one of those in every game is somewhat lacking at some point in time. And with Flesh and Blood, it's the casual, right? It's a competitive game. It has a giant collectible element. Casual is just, it's dragging. It's not where, I'm not going to say it's not where it needs to be, but it's not where it should be in my mind. And I think because of the sea of collectible, that's what turns people on to TCGs originally. Is, can I open something that makes me feel like this gets the same sensation as scratching a lottery ticket and winning $50 on 5, you know?
Sure.
It's that sort of appeal to human nature of winning without, with a fixed amount of skin in the game, I believe is something that appeals to people in a greater sense. And that's the why of TCGs, because you could have a game that is a game engine and say, print the cards you want and play my game. Okay. Are you doing that? I'm not. So, print the cards and come play in my tournament.
Sure.
Probably not. It's just not something I'm interested in. But I made this game. You can open these packs, you get the cards, and then you build your deck and you come play. If the game is, obviously the check marks there are the game still has to be good, but you can have a good game. That's why I never got into living card games, even though some of them have been very good. Like Arkham Horror is a blast. I'm not really that into it.
Right.
But it's fun. L5R and, the reimagining, the living card game version, they tried to make it competitive, but it just didn't work. Right. And I think a lot of that was because when you have a competitive card game that is a living card game, what the fuck are you giving for prizes? It isn't boosters.
Nope.
So is it cash? Because if it's cash, that's different. But name a game store, name an LGS that loves to give cash for their weekly tournaments. Because I would like to move there.
Yeah, right.
And that's not it.
Cutthroat very quickly, too.
Very quickly. Yeah, that community is going to be pretty toxic, probably. And so the why of it, I think that's such a fascinating question, though, because I think it's intensely personal, too.
Yep.
For people. It is. There's because everything is personal at some level, right? And politics are personal. Your choice of dress obviously is personal, but you're conveying a message regardless. You're saying something. I think that's also a part of card gaming and card game communities is you are saying something. You're saying what you want to be a part of. and or what you enjoy or what aesthetic appeals to you or whatever. So I think a lot of the personal aspect of it comes into play too, you know, because it fulfills that Maslow's hierarchy of need. It factors in. And I don't know, that just I probably should spend more time thinking about this than I do, quite honestly.
I've thought about it all week because this is the topic of the video that I wanted to make for the 5-year anniversary from my perspective, just sharing a little bit of what I've experienced over the past 5 years with this game specifically. But why is a really interesting question. Like, what's the point of Flesh and Blood or TCGs? You know, I think it's very important for anyone to stop and ask themselves that question. For a lot of reasons. One, you know, just to reevaluate where you're placing everything, but also to try and figure out, you know, like why you're valuing something like this. And I think there are very, very good reasons for this to be a part of your life, for trading card games, but also for just specifically for Flesh and Blood because of what they've done and you know, the community that we live in. But ask yourself that question at home, everyone. What's the point? And maybe if I stop being so lazy, I'll sit down and finish the script and do all the editing that goes into this one, because this one's going to be a little bit of a doozy. But it's a good question. You know, it's a good question.
It's this is why I do long form content weekly, then I don't have to think about it as much.
Yeah,
that's just it actually, in some ways, you know, you think again, it's weird because what I do, it always has a timestamp. It has a time frame on it. Mm-hmm. Like it has to be in this window. And what you do doesn't necessarily. You know, because of the fact that you produce videos that are insanely polished, that are scripted, that have you're saying exactly what you want to say, how you want to say it, including everything with it that you need to communicate appropriately. And I love your content, by the way. Mm. I was a DM Armada fan before I was a DM Armada friend. And it just turns out you're also just fantastic people. So great. That worked out.
Oh, I appreciate that.
But it's always amazing to me that I consider what you do to be infinitely more difficult than what I do. And it's because of the effort level and the care that you put into it is just, it's just different than what we do here.
I would say
it's not less.
In some ways I can see where you're coming from. In some ways I actually think that doing something like this is oftentimes harder. And the reason is consistency. I think this is true of anyone that wants to be successful at just about anything, is showing up consistently. That is a challenging thing. And yeah, it may feel like, you know, you're just showing up and you're talking, but you're creating a script, you're creating a talking points, you're organizing your episode, you're, you know, doing a very rough edit if you so choose, or you're doing maybe a more important edit if you so choose, and you're putting it up and you're title thumbnailing it and you're going from that point, right? So you're doing a lot of the same sort of things. It's just you're doing it 150 times now, weekly.
Yeah.
So
for roughly on average an hour and 45 minutes each.
I would not sell yourself short as far as what content looks like and the hierarchy of content, if you will.
I think that, you know, maybe that was a miscommunication on my part, if anything, because I don't compare myself to anyone else as far as content goes. Sure. I don't think that that's healthy. And largely because you're always just you're tilting at windmills, man. You're just Don Quixote and you look crazy the entire time.
You got one though.
It's true. And it's interesting to me how some people will take that tack. It's, you know, I get questions of how do I get more viewers? How do I get more subscribers? I'm like, man, I don't know. You're asking the wrong fucking person, because what I do isn't chasing a number. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I think that if you put value in, you know, the reaction to what you put out there, that's great for you. You'll get the value, get the validation you need. But that's not why we do it. it's the why we do it is, one, we make this show, Abby and Jordan before Charmer, then Charmer and myself. We make this show for two reasons. One, we enjoy this. We like doing it. As much as I bitch and moan about the stupid streak and how it's sometimes awful for mental health, because it is, we love doing it. That's just out there. And the other part is, and I've talked about this any number of times, there's always somebody else that gets something out of what we do. And it only takes one person in my mind.
It's true.
If there's one person, if you've made one person's day, month, week, whatever better, you're doing great work. That's the type of thing that we should be putting back into our communities is, you made one person's day better. That's worth an hour and a half of my time. Fuck, that's worth 3 hours of my time. I would rather that person have me do this and that person have a better life experience for it in one way or another.
Yeah.
That matters.
That was always my take and it still is my take when I make content as well. Like, it's a very low cost as far as time is concerned for me, the way that I've structured things at this point. But I feel like if I can provide something entertaining or educational or both for someone else, then it's worth that time investment, right?
Yeah. 100%. Okay, now we got to talk about Jarl. Oh, Jesus.
We don't have to.
Oh, we think we do.
You can skip him.
No, we really can't.
All right. What's your best Jarl impersonation? Just say his name. Just say his name.
Jarl the Trady.
Okay. I kind of like that.
I think that's it.
Jarl the Trady.
Yeah, I guess you could go a little Eastern European. Yeah, a little Eastern European with it would make some sense too. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, so he's the new Guardian that'll be coming out in Armory Deck Origins, November 29th. This was spoiled on the stream during James's Q&A. And this was a moment for me at least.
It was a moment. I was hyped.
Well, the first thing I saw, I'm like, okay, so we're getting an Ice Guardian. Why is Earth stapled to this? Because I didn't notice that part immediately. He looks icy.
Yeah.
And I read the ability first, which, I glazed over the Earth Ice specialization portion of the show, or Essence of Earth and Ice portion of the show. Yeah. I went straight to the ability. So it's an Earth Ice Guardian for, just gloss this over really quick. I went straight to the ability of whenever you, whenever you pitch an ice card or whenever you play an ice card, that's right, create a Frostbite token in an opponent's exposed head, chest, arms, or leg zone. So that is a vacated zone, which, tying back to another thing we've talked about before on this show, another reason to put your damn equipment in the graveyard, folks. If it's broken, it goes in the bin.
Where it belongs.
Oh my God, people.
That's where it belongs.
At any rate, so when you play an ice card, you make a Frostbite token in that zone.
Yes.
So now we're in interesting shit, but that's an ice ability, right?
Well, you played the ice card, but yes, it is tied to ice. Correct.
It's tied to ice, and that's what I read. I didn't catch the Earth part immediately. And so, like, Ice Guardian's kind of cool. And then I heard the devs say Earth Ice. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh, no. Okay. So, traditional 440 hero, 4 intellect, 40 health.
Sure.
And it's the dude from Mangle.
Yes, it is.
It's the best way to put it.
Yep.
That'll be spoiled here in a second.
It's the dude from Mangle. It's the dude from what? Buckle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's obviously they just turn the reins over to Federico to do what Federico does best, which is make a giant badass looking hero.
It's the same guy from Pulverize.
Yep.
He's all over the place, man. He's everywhere.
He really is. And so this deck is like $20 more, I believe, than the traditional Armory decks. And part of that is they've increased the Majestic count, and which I don't know how that matters when it's printed in an Armory deck, but
I heard they put a legendary in it, right?
And they did. They also put a legendary in it. So that's also interesting, especially if it's playable with other characters, which I imagine it is.
Pretty cool.
It's really, really cool. And so this is very interesting for a number of reasons. One, this definitely gives your Oldhim stands new life to a degree, as they've been kind of searching for that Oldhim-y deck. They're playing Count Your Blessings and Dash, for God's sakes. They're just doing whatever they can do to try to feel something.
I don't know, man. You think this is going to be like an Oldhim style, like kind of mid-range Guardian?
I think it's going to be a little bit more beatdowny, especially in the beginning, with a lot of relevant on hits to clear armor zones.
Bro, this is Mangle Guide. Come on, we're not over here playing like swing hammer and pass, but they probably are going to do that. Let's be honest,
right?
And that's all they know.
Yeah, when they just get to play, and exposed to the elements, blow up a armor slot, and then put a frostbite in an armor slot too. Sure. Yeah, just do the thing, I guess. And
I am excited to know what the weapon is, though.
Yeah, because Jason said on stream that it's his favorite weapon in the game.
Guardians have the best weapons, so
right.
It's gotta be
that's actually kind of true.
It is true. That's why I said it. It's very true.
Yeah,
Guardians have the best weapons.
Winter's Wail,
the best
being the prime problem.
If people sit here and tell me Rosetta Thorn, no, come on, play against Winter's Wail. There's a reason it doesn't exist.
All right. Well, neither does Thorn, but
Thorn was legal the whole way through, though.
Yeah, so was Wail.
No, they cut Wail.
Wail got cut when Oldhim went.
No, Wail got cut in Blitz. They had to get rid of it.
Oh, Blitz. Yep. They did in Blitz.
Yeah. It was so good. That's how good it was.
The value was stupid.
They were like, let's leave Rosetta Thorn. But Wail.
Yeah, Thorn's fine, but Wail, no.
That's the problem. Guardians get the best weapons, man. They get good cards, too. It's just everyone, it eventually feels like it defaults to, like the best numbers deck. And maybe that's okay, because it does kind of feel very flavorful for like this Guardian to just be like the dude. I think that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. But I think he's gonna be a little bit more stompy, and I kind of want that out of my card. Like Valda, how Valda's pretty stompy. I want that for Jarl.
I think Jarl's gonna be stompy early and finish the game in a traditional Guardian way of block weapon.
I buy that.
Or Channel Lake Frigid block weapon. Just ice them down and throw them in the freezer. Call it a day. We did get 2 cards out of the deck. The Jarl specializations were spoiled. There are 2 of them. We're actually going to do the second one I listed first, because I want a longer conversation about the first one.
Okay.
The second one is called Unforgetting, Unforgiving. It is, gas name.
Yeah.
Just absolute gas name.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's a red block 4 Guardian block card. I like the divergence from so many defense reacts personally. I know that
I agree with that.
That has some hot takes every now and again, but Jarl can play Rootbound Carapace, so whatever. And he can play Plow Under and Fell. He gets all the bullshit he wants. Pretty good.
More cards though.
Sure.
A few more cards.
Sure.
1 or 2.
One or 2.
Like a Guardian set for him. Maybe like a mastery pack.
Like a mastery set? Yeah, they need to do that. And so when this defends, if the attacking hero controls an equipment with a -1 counter, you may search for Mangle, banish, and play, and you can play it until your next action phase.
Yeah. Okay, I have to stop and say this. This is how heroes in Flesh and Blood should function.
Hell yes.
Because they play the card with their art on it. That's what I'm referring to. Like, I think all heroes should have a card that does something cool with their art on it. So that when I play Mangle as Jarl Vertredi, and then I just slam that thing down and then I pummel on top of it, that I want to feel like I'm Jarl.
You want to feel it.
I want to pulverize because I'm Jarl, right? Like, all of them should have that. That's why it's
You
so
want a
cool.
You want a 6-card hand that can threaten all the bullshit.
But with his face on it. Like, I want him to be the one punching it, not like random Guardian 2, crushing some guy's hand. Like, let it be Jarl so that I can feel like Jarl when I play. I think that's great. I love it.
I think it's fantastic. And again, I like the departure away from defense reacts, and block cards are interesting.
Yeah.
And the whole -1 counter gig, when we talked about already exposed the elements and some other things, is also super fascinating. And now we come to Crumble to Eternity. Now, Steven, I'm going to ask you a question. What is Oldhim's specialization?
Oh, I thought you were going to say what the airspeed of velocity of an unladen swallow is.
That's later.
Oh, okay. Oakenold.
Incorrect, actually.
It's Oakenold.
It's not.
It has
his face on
it. I'm pretty sure
it has his face on it.
How that works?
No. You see, they printed that text on a different card called Endless Winter.
No. It's Oakenold.
No, it's really not.
I don't see how any other Guardian would ever play Oakenold, though. Let's be honest.
So, introduce you to Crumble to Eternity. It is a blue block 3 0 cost Ice Earth action aura.
Okay.
So the good old 1-card fuse for Oakenold used to just be, we only had Pulse of Eisenloft for that.
Well, why would anyone else play this? What? I don't understand. Oakenold is a specialization.
It's not, though. That's the problem.
Can we rat of that?
We probably should.
Sharpies, everyone.
Everybody's Sharpies.
Get to your collection.
Get a Sharpie. So the text on this is, when this enters, put a -1 defense counter on an equipment.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah.
Weird. Beginning of action phase, destroy, and your next attack gets dominate.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
I love that it's an aura, because it really encourages you to build up the board, which is kind of where they were shifting Guardian to do. And
the tower type of Guardian.
Yeah, just like big turn, blocking strong, swing weapon, capitalize on big turn, that kind of thing. I like that. I think that's really cool. And it does feel like a little bit more of an identity than just, I have the best fridge and I have a really good weapon, which just sort of leads to a natural fatigue state. And so if you give them really good payoff auras that you are encouraged to slam down, then you go into this cycle of like, okay, I'm going to hit you really hard, and then I'm going to set up and hit you a little bit and block well. And I'm going to hit you really hard. And I think that is a great identity for Guardian. One that I would be more than happy to play, because it encourages these longer games, these second cycle games, while still giving you an explosive potential that will end a game eventually.
Yeah, I agree. I'm obviously very, very scared, because I have flashbacks for Oakenolds, mainly me playing them, to be honest. So I probably shouldn't, but it's always the best hands were the ones where you just had, it's a Oakenold in Arsenal and a 2-card hands that were a blue and a Pulse of Eisenloft. And it was just like, yep. So still, here's this. And then I'm going to Arsenal Pulse.
The best part was when you also had a lightning card in that hand.
Yeah, and those were the days.
Because then if you had a lightning card in your hand and Pulse of Eisenloft, then things got really good. So
those are the only instances that I've ever apologized to my opponents in games of Flesh and Blood.
It's like, here's the triple fuse for my Starvo ability. I have a card. It's supposed to be a specialization, but let's pretend that it's not. Here's Oakenold.
Yeah, so this is got dominate, go again. On hit,
sacrifice your firstborn.
Right, and then here's a weapon for 4.
Yeah,
just in case.
Frostbite, if it hits, frostbite
on hit frostbite.
Don't forget.
But don't worry, because you've already lost 2 cards out of your hand.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So it's fine.
So, what do
the frostbite doesn't really matter.
What do you care? It's just incidental.
Yeah, this is just splash damage at this point. But this isn't Starvo, thank God. But this feels like it will be strong out of the gate. And will be without knowing any other cards, because there will be other cards obviously in the deck that are new.
Yeah.
And just with what's out there already, with your abundance of Earth cards, a narrower pool of Ice cards than Earth cards, because you've only had
The one
in
set.
reality, like, well, 1.5.
Yeah, technically.
Because upright, or 1 1/3 because of uprising. And it feels like this is already a hero that people are going to try to break, to try to work through and find the angles of. I think that you'll see Jarl showing up effectively right away. It comes right before. The only thing that I think that's after this,
I think is what it said.
29th.
Is it 29th? Okay.
Yeah. And which is like 2 weeks before Min-Max's LL
Sure.
calling, I think. But I don't know that there's anything before that or after that for the year. So there's a skirmish season, I believe, and that's it.
But this is a CC only hero so far, which means
living legend,
yes,
can be played,
but not a young hero. So
no.
If you're planning on doing draft, or if you're planning on doing blitz, then this is a hero that doesn't affect obviously those formats.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I feel like this is going to, it's going to give people a lot of time with this hero to be in the lab.
That's true.
Which is okay. And I think that when we first get a taste in CC of Jarl, it's going to show up in numbers and be very good. Now, granted, you still have the concerns that exist with, say, Dash.io. A lot of people are just on, they're already screaming that the sky is falling because Dash.io, once the Armory deck comes out, is just the single best deck in Flesh and Blood, and nobody should ever play anything else.
I think she actually already LL'd. If you listen, she just LL'd.
Wait, hold on.
There it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, she's gone. Then we have to worry about it then.
Problem solved.
Yeah, no problem. If only. I think the living legend
points.
I
think she'll be pretty good.
People I really respect in this game are basically telling me, yeah, there's no point to play anything outside of Dash.io. And the first person that finds a deck that is decent into anything else that beats Dash.io on a regular basis will be crowned a hero. It's like, it can't be that good, right?
I think it is very good. And I think it just does the oops, I won thing far easier than it should. But I do think that it has the capacity to be clunky if it draws poorly, in the sense of, like, of course, I'm not playing any draw cards anymore because they've all been taken away. Tomes were already out of the list anyway. But if I don't find Cerebellum Processor in the first few turns and I'm playing an aggro matchup, then I don't actually have the space, and then all of my items actually become detrimental. And so I've been testing.
No block.
Yeah, exactly. I've been testing a lot with Zen over the past week, the new version of Zen, and that matchup actually does feel fairly close if they aren't seeing as many Cerebellum Processors, or if they don't have like one big spike turn in the first 3 turns. You're feeling pretty comfortable because they're throwing some damage. They throw a boom grenade out there, and then you're playing above rate on every single turn that you play, just because you can. And that feels quite nice. It's just the times where they go, oops, I win the game, which has happened to me a couple of times, simply because, like, for example, I played one game, and it was turn 4, and it was 22-4. I was 22, that person was 4, and I was like, sweet, I have a hand here that is perfectly serviceable. I can transcend, I can pitch, and then I can win the game in a variety of ways. All I need them to do is not deal 22 damage through 3 cards and whatever armor I can give, because I can give the rest of my armor, which was like 4 block, right? And they proceeded to find all 3, back to back to back, all 3 Cerebellum Processors on the same turn, and push like 30 some odd damage. And from that point, they stole the game and ran with it. So in those scenarios, the deck is just cracked in absolute half. But there is counterplay in the form of, it's just a race, and my deck can race pretty well as well, and you have a bunch of non-blocks, and then if I have disruptive on hits in any way, shape, or form, I can provide some counterplay. But to the credit of the people that you've talked to, I would kind of agree. I feel like if you're going to play an aggro deck, I mean, it's a pretty freaking good aggro. It's the best aggro deck in the format. So unless you feel like you run real bad and you're going to hit like bad things off the top on, like boosts, or if you're just not going to find Cerebellum well, then I don't know, man. I think you should play it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that's the math that I've been able to do is you can race with Aurora, and you can race with Zen, and you can race with FaB, but you're still going to lose some percentage, and who knows what that percentage is of games to exactly what you said.
Yep.
And you can have a life lead and it won't matter. And it could be a giant life lead and it won't matter. Sometimes you do wind up in a lucky enough spot where you can force the last couple of points if you have any sort of disruption, but what disruption are you going to play? That's the hard part. It feels like aggro Viscera is probably the best thing you can do into it. Or you play
discard card.
You can do it with Aurora too, because you can play the card that on hit you choose a card and they discard it. The yellow,
or
the
Temptation.
Succumb to Temptation. That's the one.
That was a good one.
That you can maybe get them with that, but otherwise, it's painful.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has access to Weakest Link, and they have cards that don't block in their hand fairly regularly. So that is something that you can certainly play towards if you wanted to splash in 3 Weakest Links. Again, further driving that card up your tier lists and your prices on TCG Player if you're looking for it.
What is that? People love when I do this now, apparently. Is the Weakest Link price going to surprise me, Steven?
I don't know. What are you thinking before you find it? Don't look at it yet. What's your guess?
I'm thinking 40.
Okay.
The Weakest Link.
Wait, before you pull it up, or do you have it pull up yet?
No.
Okay. What if I set the line at 39.5? Where would you take? Over or under?
I got to say over.
Okay.
I think it's over.
Okay. What if I move the line to 44.5?
Too late. Oh, fuck me. All right. So, Steven, did you know the answer to this question?
I knew it a couple of days ago. Where is it now?
Best guess.
55.
61.
Okay, so it's gone up. Yeah. It was like 55 last I looked. I'm telling you, man. Look, compare it to CNC. Look up CNC.
CNC is 90 last I knew. And then creeping up on Command and Conquer was Warmonger's Diplomacy. 83 for moderately played. For an actual like near main copy, it's 92.
Okay. What's Warmonger's at?
80 something.
No.
Yeah. You can get it for 74 right now.
Okay.
So more than 74 is pretty good.
More than I thought.
But you have 1, 2, 3, 4 copies left before you're paying 80 plus.
That's crazy.
That's nuts, right?
Yeah. Well, think about Weakest Link, right? Weakest Link was the quote unquote only real answer to Zen, right? Trying to find some disruption there. It continues to be an answer in this current set because of instance across the board. So yeah, I mean, and it's going to continue to be a possible answer when your opponent has items in their hand. So it's a good design card, right? Well, it's definitely designed for the current state of the game.
Yeah, and there's and then because I looked these up a couple of days ago, Heist and Twin Drive are obnoxiously expensive.
Are they now?
Yeah, I was just like, okay. Heists in the $40 range last I looked. Oof. Twin Drives in like the $45 to $50 range. I'm just like, oof.
Hey man, but it's from it's from a set that is probably still easily accessible.
Widely hated, but easily accessible. It's
you make your own choices, man.
I get it. We're getting into that spot where DTD and Bright Lights are just full of bangers. Yeah, and because we've known that Everfest is full of bangers for a long time, and yet you can still buy cases of Everfest for like $150 sometimes.
Yeah,
which snap it off. But if you see that, chat, snap it off. But because like you open a Swarming Gloom Veil, there's $30,
right?
You open a Miraging Metamorph, there's like 17.
You open a what is it, Swing Big?
Yeah,
Swing Big,
$20-ish last I knew.
It's a great.
even like shimmers of
Potion
silver.
healing. Cold foil.
Potion of healing in the cold foils is yeah.
Automatically, you made your money back.
And there's some people that are thinking the talisman of cremation against CYB decks, and I'm like, or just poison them. Just poison them.
Oh, they'll die off soon.
Yeah, well, yes, because they're not going to be able to set up their thing ever again, and they're just going to die.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to take a few minutes to talk about, Flesh and Blood and what it means to us. God, I feel like we did that.
We did it at the top of the hour, man. We started with that. Honestly, I kind of like starting with that because, I mean, it's 5 years. That's the moment to reminisce. That's what I was thinking.
It really is, and we both did our Fab Fives on Twitter. So if you really want to see,
what was yours?
Where we're at. So Kasai Centauri Sellsword.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Is hero. Blood on Her Hands.
Yep.
Is
great spoiler video.
Is the card. Yeah, fantastic.
Crazy.
And accomplishment is this show. And moment was that same Pro Tour New Jersey where I had the Flesh and Pot hockey jersey that the logo is a clear violation of U.S. copyright law. And I do have a statement from LSS that they did send me that that I have that said that it's fine, that they are totally cool with it. But I hadn't had that yet. And Jordan, being a lawyer, was super freaked out. And so I walked up to James with nobody around. And I was just like, hey, can you do me a favor? And he's like, yeah, sure. What do you want? And I'm like, can you sign this for me, but sign it, thank you for violating my copyright? And he's like, laughs. And he's like, sure. And just signs it that. I'm like, hey, perfect. Thanks. I'm like, hey, Jordan, here. And he's like, what the hell is this? I'm like, James White signed and said, thank you for violating our copyright. This is legally binding, right? Even though it's on Fabric. And he's just like, no, it's not. But still, it's
that's pretty awesome.
What were yours? I guess I don't know.
Okay, so...
well, Queensland was your moment, I think.
Well, so favorite hero is Kano.
Yep.
Favorite card is Eye of Ophidia, because I still think that's one of the most beautiful cards I think I've ever looked at.
It's gorgeous.
Period. What was the third thing that they asked?
Accomplishment.
Okay. Favorite accomplishment. For me, it was commentating all of those early tournaments. Like doing the callings and then leading to the national championship and then the first pro tour. That was so special to me because obviously starting out in the game and watching it kind of grow and then almost die and then not die and then explode. This was just even right now as 5 years in the game, I knew it was going to get to this point after that first year. When we hit the first year anniversary, I'm like, this game is going the distance. And so I've just been so excited for this, and I understand and recognize the impact that those early tournaments had for everyone in the space, and so I just feel so incredibly humbled and thankful that I got the chance to be a part of that. So that's my accomplishment. There was another one after the accomplishment
moment,
but there was one right before that, right?
Oh my God, there were. That's 5. What was the
fourth one?
What's the fourth one? Man, that's a good question. I should have this. I should know this.
Someone's going to leave a comment down below there and be like,
I'm just looking it up because I'm allowed to.
Accomplishment.
Set.
Oh, heavy
Favorite
hitters.
set.
Heavy hitters. But it's close. It's really close because I love Crucible of War.
I'm a big crew guy. Tails is mine, but a lot of that, and I always have to preface that one because it's Tails post Briar errata.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Which is sort of weird because the thing I'm against the most in card gaming are errata.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And yet I recognize in this spot how just very necessary it was.
Yeah.
And it turned a draft format that was really toxic because it was always 6 Briars and then 1 Lexi, 1 Oldham at a table, and the Briars were just going to clean you up anyway.
I know.
Into a more balanced, a much more balanced in a pretty incredible draft format once that was taken care of.
Draft was way better than sealed. Agreed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's I think the only set in Flesh and Blood where you could say sealed or draft, and I can honestly tell you, flip a coin, I'm going to be good either way, is Rosetta.
I agree. I was hoping you would say that because I think this is the best one they've ever released.
This is the best
Period.
sealed that
I
they've
don't think it's
released by
close.
miles.
Yeah, I don't think it's close.
And Rosetta draft. And that's the cool part is that draft and sealed feels so damn different in this set still.
They do. They do.
They're both great experiences.
I agree.
And I don't know. I haven't seen. I've seen very low numbers of non-playable pools for Rosetta sealed. An 8-pack sealed was brilliant. Whoever decided that this is the fix is, and then 30 card min max
locked on. Yeah.
Locked on is perfect.
The way it needs to be. All right. My favorite moment, and this one's really important to me. So I'm going to tell you the story. Okay. So it does involve Queenstown, and it was in Queenstown. So we fly out and we land on Sunday, and we get in our hotel accommodations and get everything situated, and we collapse, we sleep, we wake up, we go to LSS headquarters, we get to meet everyone, tour the new studio, we get to look at heavy hitters for the very first time. My dad and I drive out to Hobbiton that afternoon, spend the afternoon evening in Hobbiton. We come back, crash, fly out to Queenstown the next day, and of course we spend time in Queenstown together, eating and like hanging out, talking, preparing for the next day when the competition actually starts. We play through the tournament and we do all these things. There's the highs and lows of tournament play. There's the craziness of like what you're actually experiencing, all these formats that you're playing in, and then there's right after that, there's like they've organized a little event for you to choose either you go and do this one thing or you do another thing, and then right after that event's over, it's like, okay, we're getting on a boat, we're going across like this fjord, and we're going to eat at this place, and you'll get back at midnight, you'll crash, you'll wake up at 6 so that you can go play the next part of the tournament. And so there's just these constant highs and lows, and like, what do I think about? Do I think about the crazy cool stuff that we're doing? Do I think about the tournament that's being played? Like, I want to do well in this, but I also want to enjoy this experience. I want to meet these people, but I also want to make sure that I don't fall flat on my face in this next game. So there's all these back and forths, and you're just spinning, and you don't have enough sleep, and you're not sure like where you are, and you're on the tip of the world at this point. And then all of it's over, and there's an actual calling going on, and then that's sort of done. And then it's the last day before you fly out of Queenstown, and the last thing they organize is a dinner with everybody that participated in this whole experience. And it's at an Asian fusion restaurant that's a little off the water in Queenstown. And it starts at like 6, and you sit down, and they just bring you little courses, just little things. You just eat what you want, talk with the people around you. And it was about 2 hours in, and I don't even know how many little plates or whatever that they had brought. And I look down the table, and I see James White at the end of a table next to Mara Ferris, next to Rachel, next to a variety of other people. And I look the other way, and I'm sitting next to my dad, who's talking with the owners of White Rabbit Games in Germany, who's talking to like multiple devs on the dev team. And I take a moment to finally stop and realize, and I'm just watching people laughing, eating, drinking, talking about how this card should be banned, or God, give us more lore, because I really need to know what happened to Minerva, and I'm so pent up to know what happened to Minerva. And I probably had too much to drink, says one person, and then another person has definitely had too much to drink, and it's fantastic. And everyone's laughing. And I realize in that moment that that's what it's all about. That it could be about the fact that, there's this big tournament. And it could be about the fact that, you just gotten this brand new set of cards. But all of that to me is sort of a vehicle to get people to that moment. The moment where you're sitting on a porch and there's a big lawn of people playing like lawn bowling, and you're across the bench table from someone and they're telling you a story about this crazy person that did this weird thing and you laugh about it. And this is a person you would have never met had you not picked up a few cards and said block for 2. And for me, that was the moment that I think most encapsulated exactly what James White intended and the team at LSS intends when they say bringing people together under the common language of a great game. Because everyone was there to sit down to a table at some point to play a great game. But at that point, they were just sitting at a table to enjoy each other's company. And I thought that was the most beautiful experience that I've had in a trading card game space ever. So for me, that is the, I mean, you can list the top 5 favorite card, favorite hero, that all that crap. I don't really I don't put any of those above that experience. To me, that's the point.
No, and how could you? I mean, quite honestly, that's, I don't, no notes. I mean, what can you say?
I wish I would have taken a video so that I could share that video with people so they could see that one little glimpse past the curtain of like competitive play. And it's funny because like after I viewed all of that, I stood up. It's like course number 8 and a couple of us walk out and like a couple of the devs like Brian Gottlieb and I think maybe it was, it wasn't Kieran. I don't remember who else was standing out there. Jason was standing out there. They were literally just standing there and talking about like life because they needed a break from the constant onslaught of random food. And so they stood outside for a bit and they were just talking about life. It was like they had their moment. Other people were having another moment, but it was all driven by this singular game that was created by a team of people that were very passionate about what they did. And I think to me, that is the point.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. And we talked about it earlier too. And you're right. That is the point. That it just is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of don't want to do questions now, but I think we owe it to the people because they asked you questions.
We should do some questions. I haven't actually looked at questions. So.
Oh, this will be fun then.
Oh, cool.
The first one's from Aladoris. FaB D&D when? This comes from After Darking. We have discussed doing this a few different times. We've discussed writing, or I've actually started writing a campaign in the world of Wraith.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting little adventure to try to like pin down, right? And because it'd be dumb in my mind to base it on the characters on the cards.
Agreed.
And you should be basing it in the people that would not even be in their orbit.
No, yeah.
That would know about these legendary, larger than life characters in passing only. And
I think it'd be fun to have characters that skirted the main story, right? That like,
right. That's exactly yeah. That's exactly right.
Cool.
Yep. And that's exactly where I was going with it and why I started writing into. Just trying to get the story first of how I'd want like this to look. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's just plugging through a system and then figuring out, is this okay to do? Because obviously I'm not about to step on anybody's toes. And if not, then wouldn't record it. You just do it for our own fun if we wanted to do it. And
it's been done before.
To a degree. Yeah. And it's so I think that what Jordan is referring to here is just Flesh and Pod, doing D&D with the fappers, like straight up D&D campaign, which is also a thing that could be done eventually. But time and resources are the things we're always lacking. Yeah. And there's no answer to when.
I would love to continue to play D&D. It's just a time thing. I DM'd my own campaign once, wrote it, but I kind of came up with my own story and we followed it for a while. And it was like, this is so much fun, but it is a consistency.
It's time consuming. Yeah. And I did that too when I was younger. I took a stab at it and really enjoyed doing it. And then I went to college, and that was it. But it's a fun thing to do. I have one that I'm hopping in. I haven't touched D&D really since third edition. And so I no 3.5, no 2014.
Sure.
So I picked up the 2024 book at Gen Con. And then somebody's like, well, just get the D&D Beyond app. It's, like, what is that? And so I did. And then there was like a code in the player's handbook when you bought it at Gen Con that you can get the digital version for super cheap. And so I'm like, sure, I'll do that too. And my God, I just thought that all of the app developers at Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast were just terrible at their jobs because I only ever interacted with their Magic apps. But holy shit, D&D Beyond is incredible. Like, it's good? Everything. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was bad.
No, I was shocked at how smooth, how intuitive, how they just kind of built everything you would need so that you could create a more immersive experience on the tabletop and not have to like leaf through pages and do a bunch of other stuff. You can just have it all right here, like on a tablet or whatever, for your character. And that way you can actually just immerse yourself in the actual physical components of minis and battle maps and stuff like that. Like, this is smart. This is really well built. Because even like dice rolls they built into it. And you can share your dice rolls with the campaign so they can just see what you rolled.
That's okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Next one's from Trashy. Fantastic name. What do you guys think about open deck lists at competitive level events? With the wide variation of builds thanks to CYB and various OTK, Florian, and Viz builds that exist, having a group scouting top tables and taking notes is super beneficial. Individual players will not have this luxury and absolutely be disadvantaged. Knowing if I should or should not board in specific text sideboard cards can be a clear advantage. Okay.
I'll just say individual players are always disadvantaged.
Right. And that's been that way
so
time immemorial.
Making the argument that open deck lists will solve the problem of individuals being disadvantaged, even in just this one scenario, while I understand it, I do think it is a little bit misguided in that sense, because I think you can open the deck list up, but the team is always going to have the edge versus an individual. Deck list is great. I mean, everyone wants to be the one that does it, on their own power, but it's so much harder to do that. And the team will always give you what you need, or have the capacity to give you what you need more than you just doing it on your own.
Correct. Yep.
So,
and
from that perspective, I don't think open deck lists are super duper necessary. I also don't think that CYB poses an existential threat to the way a format is run, and it would be an incredible hassle for everyone to have to carry around a deck list, hand it over to the person. Okay, here we go. You have your deck list viewing period. Like, what does that actually look like? It's easy to suggest that, but how do you facilitate that and let the rounds run on time? So I don't know. I would say just leave it.
Yeah, I am all for open deck lists and untimed rounds. Go for it.
Yeah,
that's easy.
If you're just going to fire off, like whenever you're going to fire off, leave it as is. But if it's
no. But if it's top 8, sure. Open deck list and top 8 is great. I mean, we do that at PTQs or ProQuest. Sorry, here.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, just it gets people familiar with the process of being able to. Look at an opponent's deck list. I think they do it. I almost want to say most of the constructed ProQuests I've played in, we did open deck lists in top 8. But it's not uncommon for that at least. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, the single person's always at a disadvantage versus the team. Just full stop.
I mean, if you're going to go to a tournament and you have 7 people that you all know going into that tournament, and someone else is going to go into that tournament and they know no one there, who's going to have the advantage? It's always the person with someone in their corner. Regardless 100%. If they say, hey, over there, go look at those people. Tell me which ones are CYB. I mean, even if they don't do that, they're still going to have the advantage on you. So I don't know.
Right.
It doesn't strike me as something necessary.
No. Next one's from Justin S. How much of a bribe would it take for LSS to finally create a pirate talent class or a true pirate hero?
Oh, I don't know, man. How much of a bribe? Oh, I don't think there's a. Here's the thing, and I very much enjoy this about LSS, and I appreciate this. I don't think they compromise their vision for what they want for the game.
No.
For the fans. I think that they hear the fans and they see what the fans want and they work it into their vision if it's possible. But they have a vision for how they want this game to function and how they want this game to present itself. And if Pirates are not in that vision, more power to them, because this is their game that we, and me specifically, that I interface with, and I choose to interface with it. And if they choose to not put pirates in it, it's not like I have the option. I have the choice to not interface with it if I wanted to. But I'm not going to do that because I have chosen to enjoy the experience as is. Now, if they put pirates in it, everyone objectively will enjoy it more. It will objectively be a better game, and that there's measurables to that. But if that's not in the vision of LSS, that's okay, because they've charted their course. You know, they've turned the rudder on their ship, so to speak. They know where they're headed, and it should be an underwater set with pirates and I don't know,
Merfolk, basically.
I think it should be pirates and undead.
Oh, undead. Okay.
Yeah, we got to do a full-on Pirates
Soggy
of the
corpses.
Full-on Pirates of the Caribbean.
All right.
Give me an undead pirate hero.
But you didn't answer, because there's always a number. What's the number on that bribe?
Oh my god. I think they would do it for an immediate cash flow increase of $100,000.
All right. So team, we need to get 100 grand.
You think they would do
That's
it
what
for
I'm
100
hearing.
grand?
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Go up to James, be like, I will give you 100 grand if you put a pirate hero in this game. He'll be like, yes, and I'll do it in 20 years. Like, you got me, the monkey paw curls, and I'll be like, you didn't say win.
Okay, so James, here's the thing: if you make the next hero that you give out at conventions a pirate hero, I will give you $100,000.
I don't know though, because here's the problem. Is the pirate hero like a class, a talent? Do they have to release
Probably a talent?
They have to release a card pool alongside of it?
Yeah, probably, but at some point in time.
So it's hard to release.
We'll find out.
You have to release it in like a major set and build a card pool around it. That's why I'm not convinced that they're ever going to do it.
But Bard exists with very little support.
Yeah, but it does it really?
Literally, yes.
But does it really?
Merchant does too.
Yeah, but does it really?
Moving on.
Let's be honest here.
That's fair. Moving on. This is from Greg, Darth Prentice. If you're familiar with Greg,
I love Darth.
Greg is a mensch. We all love Greg. He asked, "What's the most irritating comment you've gotten from a YouTube video you've posted?"
The most irritating comment. Oh man, that's a good one.
I know what ground your gears the most.
Oh my god. Okay, there's been a couple. Most of the time. So here's the interesting thing. Most of the time, I just like water off a duck's back. I don't care too much, okay? Because like if you internalize that crap, it's like, oh, it's terrible for you, right? But okay, so there's a couple that come to mind. But the one that's most recent and perhaps the most innocuous, well, it's not the most recent, but the most innocuous. Okay, so on the 6-sleeve deck video, there was someone that left a comment and they were like, oh man, I could tell that you're definitely suffering from the male pattern baldness on the side of your head. What do you plan to do about this? That was the comment. What do you plan to do about this? ? And I was like, are you kidding me? You watch this video and the first thing that you choose to write in a comment of a video about putting way too many sleeves on a deck was, hey, I noticed you're balding. What's your plan?
What are your plans?
And, I think there was even a qualification. It's strange that you're balding and you're yet so young. Is this indicative of a wider state? Oh man, that one was like, why is this living rent free in my brain? Oh yeah, because my brain is more easily accessible because I'm balding apparently. God dang it. Okay, well that was it. That was the one. I have a few others, but that's
pretty good.
That one's a pretty good one.
Greg's follow-up question was also, which grade of band kids are giving you the biggest headache?
Ooh, none of them.
None?
Okay, so here's the thing. I feel fairly confident in my teaching ability now, and what's the best way to say it? I know how to approach 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders and how they need to be talked to kid by kid in a way that makes them be more successful. And so I can very easily chameleon my way from one grade to another. So there's not really a grade that like really gives you more issues. It's individual kids and what they need, right? So there's definitely a kid that I have in one of my ensembles that needs far more than any other kid. And I know the kid that I'm thinking of, and it's that student that gives the most, like energy to actually teach and be successful with. So yeah, it's less grade level and more kids.
All right. Clark J just gave a one-word statement, I guess. It just says pirates. I think we've covered pirates at this point.
Clark. You know what? When you put it that way, it seems easy.
It does, actually.
Pirates.
In reality. Pirates.
There it is.
No, we did it.
All right, LSS. Get to work.
Come on. Next one's from VidTalks for Steven. Deca sleeve video when?
Okay. So I want to do one, and I know what game I want to do it for, and I think I can pull it off. And I think as of like 4 months ago, it's still technically legal because it does not have a stipulation that a maximum sleeve size to enter an actual tournament with a deck. So, and the best part is there's no upper limit.
Oh God.
There's no upper limit to the deck size.
So we're doing this for Star Wars Unlimited. Okay.
No,
no, that one has an upper. That one has an upper limit. Yeah, that has an upper limit. Yeah.
Lorcana doesn't have an upper limit.
It does not have an upper limit.
They also have a card in the game called 101 Dalmatians, of which you can play 101 copies.
With 10 sleeves on each copy.
Yes. I will hate the entire experience, but I am going to recreate the Yu-Gi-Oh phenomenon. I just have to. Literally the only thing.
They're going to build the wooden box.
I want to. The only thing that's holding me back is I know how much freaking work it's going to be, and I don't know if I have it in me, man. I don't know, but as far as I know, there's no rule on the maximum number of sleeves that you have to have. At least there wasn't like I said, like 4 months ago in Lorcana. So
no, all right.
Don't tell them.
No, I'm not going to say a word. No, nobody listening to this is interacting with Lorcana, so don't worry about that part. Next one's from Poxanus. Huge fan of our boy Steven. His videos got me into the game.
Oh,
so
great.
There you go.
I love that.
Question for DM Armada. What's it like to be a FaB TCG influencer, and what is Charmer doing wrong that's preventing Logan from getting a preview card?
Ooh, okay. What is it like? Like 65%.
Yeah. That's basically it.
It's pretty surreal. I think it's pretty surreal at times. I think it isn't like I woke up and decided I'm going to be a FaB YouTube influencer. And then I wrote an email and I said, Dear LSS and Mr. James White, I am a FaB TCG influencer. Nice to meet you. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like this, like, there it is kind of a thing. I've made YouTube videos in my living room or in a spare bedroom or at an actual LGS or in an office for 8 years. So for me, I've seen 8 years worth of this thing that I've created start to do weird little bumps up, and I've seen the number go to a number that's right above it a lot. And so it's been a very surreal experience because you put in an insane amount of work, but then sometimes you see that work do things, and that's pretty cool. So it is surreal. I get emails from time to time now. I would say more regularly than before, certainly more regularly than before, but about people like, oh, I really appreciate your YouTube content and your trading card game coverage. Would you like to try this mobile game out? And then we can give you an affiliate code. And I'm like, I guess I've made it. I guess that precludes me from getting, or allows me to get a spoiler card. That's the one. So
that's the one.
Just get sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, and then you're off to the races.
Oh my God!
Did get an email from them.
That's fantastic. The last part was, what is Charmer doing wrong that's preventing me from getting spoiler cards?
Better beard.
Oh, really?
Just gotta commit harder.
Yeah, I guess he kind of does limp into it, doesn't he?
Just got to get a better beard.
Yeah, all right. Derek, if you're listening, I need you to work on that for me, buddy. If you truly love me, you'd work on that.
Better beard.
Last question is from Ejur Esuardi Therianto. Artist of
I'm a big
some
fan
of the best.
I'm a big fan of Esuardi.
Yeah, he's I'm a big fan of Esuardi the artist, but I'm a monster fan of Esuardi the human being.
Yeah.
He is off the charts amazing. I love that guy. To the point that I'm trying to go to Indonesia early next year just so I can hang out with Esuardi in his home country.
You know what? I turned on the I think it was an Indonesian Nationals. I think it was Nationals.
Yep.
And
he was on stream getting bodied.
Yeah, so it was round 2, and I was like, oh, sweet, it's Kano. And then I was like, holy crap, it's Esuardi. Oh, this is amazing. I super geeked out because I was like, I love his art. And he's playing the best hero. And then he lost, and I was like, I don't even care. This is so awesome. I was in
and he is
chat.
And he is a proud fapper. That's the best part. Yeah.
I was in that chat. It was awesome.
He's the best. Idra says, question for DM Armada.
That's me.
When Pirate Hero debuts in Wraith, which other heroes going to walk the plank lore-wise?
Oh, that's a fun question. Okay, so if we're building a story around this, they need to have proximity. Now, the interesting thing is they could do a Pirates versus Ninja set because Mysteria does border, but then again, everything really in some way, shape, or form except Solana kind of borders.
Yes.
Yeah, everything except Solana borders. The ocean.
The ocean.
Yeah. So they could really go any way, but if anyone's going to have beef with pirates, I could see it being like a hero from Metrics, because I feel like if you're going to have a pirate connection, pirates are probably going to look to offload their goods in the pits, right?
Yeah.
And so there's going to be in and out trade and in and out smuggling, bootlegging, things like that. And so it could be that a mechanologist hero ends up kind of going toe to toe with a pirate thing. If you want my deep down hopeful answer, I really would think it'd be very cool to do Arya versus pirates. Fantastical. Fantastical, or Mysteria versus pirates is like my number 2, like my 1A.
Oh, Benji walks the plank.
Yeah, because Pirates versus Ninjas is such it's super
a trope.
It's really super on the nose, right? Everyone's like, oh, this is super overdone. But sometimes you just revel in that, right? It's why everyone likes B movies.
Oh yeah,
you just
same shit.
Yeah, you just go for it, commit to it. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, committing to. I wish that people understood B movies better sometimes. Because when you commit to the schlock, it makes the schlock so fucking fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy it so much.
Yeah. It's Birdemic. It's the reason Birdemic is so good, right?
Or, name a movie from Troma. It's
Yeah, you're right.
Class of Nukem High.
Oh man, I watched that at 1 a.m. with my at my friend's house. Oh, it was so good. Such a ride.
Yeah, Tromeo and Juliet,
Avenger.
Toxic Avenger, yeah, Terra Firma, yeah. I mean, just
such a ride, man. I love B movies. I
yeah,
love movies. I could talk about movies.
Yeah, movies. Yeah, movies a big thing for me too. Yeah, we should do a movie podcast one time.
Yeah.
Just a big one shot, like a 6-hour deep dive one shot into something.
I love
movies.
But
yeah, movies are the best. You get Bryn, because Bryn does a movie podcast as well.
Really?
Bryn from the Banner Zone, yeah, she has a movie podcast as well. So
that's kind of cool.
She actually went to film school originally, so and then somehow became
a band.
And an electrical engineer that just had a successful Kickstarter for a box that converts the sound waves from the vibrations and sound waves of devices into musical notes.
Okay.
It's called a Demon Box. It's really cool.
Neat.
And Kickstarter did well. So
neat.
She still hasn't bought me anything with the Kickstarter money, but I thought she loved me more and I was wrong. That's all. And yeah, I think it's time to thank some patrons. We're going to be 2 hours long here, so
apologies.
No apologies. 2 hours is fantastic. I'm a big fan of 2 hours, especially with
contracts. It says that in the contract. 2 hours is
fantastic. Did I send you a contract?
I signed it. What did I sign?
I don't know. You may be getting a vasectomy. Sorry, bro.
Okay, well,
you better look. You better read that. Are you familiar with our thanking of the patrons?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I usually ask the guest, we're going to get to a name after Dom, and it's going to be a Lance Goodthrust is the name, and I need you to give me your best dramatic good thrusting when we get there. Okay, I'll cue you.
I don't know what you're referring to.
His name is Lance Goodthrust.
I mean, I understand that is the name on the,
but I need you to say it with power and conviction loudly when we get to it. You were
asking me to physically stand up and thrust, and I was like, I will see you next time.
No, I don't even do that. Jesus.
Well, that's why I was a little confused, my friend.
All right, so we're gonna thank the associate producers first. We have Andy, Cindra, Jacob, and the Salty Sea Cat. Our executive producers on up. We have Blaze Storm, valued member of the Patreon. Dom, go for it.
What's the name?
Lance Goodthrust.
Lance Goodthrust.
A Lance Goodthrust. That's correct. And Matt Tutok's the best is Josh Scott loves to give a good thrust. That man is obsessed with good thrusting. Matt Tutok's Paxanos, Vintox, who didn't change his Patreon name this week, so go fuck yourself. Philip, Rich, and Sergeant Swanson. If you are interested in becoming a member of our Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/fleshandpod. Link is in the show notes. There's like 6 tiers or some shit. Pick one. Any paid tier gets you into FaB After Dark, which is the live shows we do monthly ish. That is usually Bryn, the aforementioned Bryn, Charmer, and Greg and myself, and then all the people that want to attend. The last one got a little heavy. Greg was dealing with some family stuff and decided he needed to offload, and that's how we found out what the Eurasian pole of inaccessibility is. It's a point on Earth that is the farthest point from any body of water.
Where?
I think it's like in Kazakhstan or something, like or Europe. It's in Russia.
Oh,
and yeah,
any major body of water or like rivers?
I think it's major.
Yeah, because
I think it's major
lakes. That.
Yeah, but it's the Eurasian pole of inaccessibility.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a thing.
There it is.
But yeah, so links in the show notes as per everything else. It's in the show notes. If you need to contact us, you can find us on Twitter at FleshPod. You can send us an email at fleshandpod@gmail.com. You should just join our Discord because that's the easiest thing to do. That link's in the show notes, and you just click on the thing. You don't have to be a member of anything. You just join, and then you come talk shit with us. It's fun. Steven, where can they find you?
On YouTube. I am youtube.com/DM Armada. You can also find me on Twitter because I am not going to call it X because I don't feel like it.
No.
I am Armada_DM because the other one's claimed.
How?
Man, I don't know, but I will say there's a DJ Armada there for a while that was like passing me up, or had passed me up, and I was like, I don't like this. And so I don't know where that DJ now stands as far as like rankings on the old social medias, but hopefully I stuck it to him.
I really hope you got him good.
Yeah, we'll see.
I really hope you buried him.
Those are the main two places you can check me out there.
That sounds fantastic. Well, Steven, again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for filling in this week. It's wonderful. You're welcome back anytime. Door's always open.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You want to come hang out?
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I would love to. I really enjoy filling things. So there you go.
Well, we'll figure out this movie thing. We'll find an obscure movie that will deep dive, like something real weird.
Okay.
That we both at least enjoy somewhat, and we'll deep dive this thing and we'll release it.
How real weird are we talking?
I mean, we can be pretty damn weird. USA Up All Night weird might be a little.
I don't know enough.
Much?
Maybe I don't know enough movies to go super deep down the rabbit hole. Yeah, I don't know.
I think you might, but we'll find out. At any rate. Thank you very much. And as far as this goes, it's been 150 weeks apparently, and haven't missed an episode. And I'll be back next week with a different co-host for episode 151. I will not be drinking one. You know what? I can't promise that. I might actually start drinking 151 during that episode, because why not? Until then, everybody. Bye.